Test, test.
They're both on. They're both on, but you're going to be standing here. And you're not going to, I guess so. So perfect, 9:16.
Cool. All right. Huh?
Do we have a next slide signal?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll just try to.
Keep up. Hey, Gail. I know. Okay. Let's talk after, okay? All right. So, gavel, gavel, gavel. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to Barnert's 2024 annual congregational meeting. The annual meeting can be seen as having two primary functions. First, it's an opportunity for congregants to be updated on the state of the congregation with presentations on Barnert's finances, lifelong learning programs, and key strategic initiatives. This year, the building project and the executive director search would be those initiatives. It's also a time when the congregation elects trustees and officers, those members entrusted to work on behalf of the congregation to be responsible for overseeing the operations, strategic direction, and financial health of Barnert Temple. So as we did last year, the meeting is largely structured as a typical board meeting. The exceptions are, well, your presence here, but you should also know that board meetings are always open to congregants. But the two particular exceptions here today to the typical board meeting would be the voting and reporting of votes, and that's going to be interspersed throughout the meeting. Those processes are going to be managed by the governance committee, today represented by co-chair Charlie Trojanowski and GC members Yael Klein and Kathy Courtney. Lisa Dougal is also co-chair, and unfortunately she's not able to be here with us today. She's taking care of some important family matters. So the second piece that's a little bit different than a typical board meeting is the management of the vote on the 2023 annual meeting minutes, and these are usually part of a consent agenda. Other than that, it'll run just as a business meeting. So before I launch into that, I just want to say thank you. It takes a lot of time and care to get this meeting together. A lot of planning, logistics, tech. It's just a lot, and it takes a lot of people to put it together. So I want to say thank you. I'm sure I'm missing people, so please, I'm going to ask you for forgiveness now. If I've somehow left your name off the list, let me know later. But thank you in particular to Rebecca Rund, Barbara Starr, Lori Solomon, there we go. Jen Sauer, Bob Levin, Jen Charles, Ellen Benson, Charlie Trojanowski, Lisa Dougal, Yael Klein, Kathy Courtney, our amazing maintenance staff, and to all of you who took the time to be here either in person or online. I really appreciate your setting that aside for this purpose, so thank you. So we usually open our meetings with an opening prayer, and so this is moving to regular business, and the opening prayer will be provided by Trustee Joan Lipkowitz. Joan.
Good morning, everyone.
Got it?
When Craig asked me to deliver the opening prayer, my initial reaction was to search the book of Jewish wisdom. And after looking through this, I soon realized that its contents, while interesting, were not truly apropos of today's gathering. So I pivoted to 21st century inspiration closer to home. So here's my prayer. Adonai, give us the will and the strength to achieve Barnert's vision of a future in which all are seen and heard, connected and committed to each other and humanity. May each of us find our place within this congregation, and may our collective embrace of lifelong learning, spiritual exploration, and the pursuit of justice ensure that this Kehillah Kedoshah grows from strength to strength. And I need to give credit to the 21st century sages who formed our wonderful updated mission and vision committee. So thank you, Sue Klein, Lisa Summers, Connie Getter, Rebecca Creston, Mike Schulteis, Janet Fink, Noah Fincy, and of course, Rabbi Steiner and Craig Solomon. So thank you for helping me to craft a prayer.
Thank you, Joe.
Weird echo, so I'm just turning this one out here.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, Joan, thank you. For those of you who may not know, Joan is going to be rolling off the board at the end of the month. For many years, Joan has been a brilliant, dependable, clear-headed leader, a quiet, strong voice of reason always. It's difficult for me to imagine a board meeting without Joan Lipkowitz. So Joan, thank you for your years, your decades of service and commitment to Barnert. We're all better off for it, so thank you, Joan. And now, Rabbi Steiner with Good and Welfare. Yeah.
You'll do that or me? Okay, great. Before I offer our good and welfare report this year, I didn't exactly clear this with you, but it's short, I promise. I just want to take a moment to offer a frame for these words and for this year. So the report will note many b'nai mitzvah and babies born and weddings celebrated and other celebrations along the way, along with too many losses in our community, longtime members, children, partners, parents, and siblings, and friends. All of this with along with the global Jewish community, we started the new year and arrived immediately at October 7th, confronting the horrific and tragic attack by Hamas terrorists who killed so many and still hold too many more. And here I want to just pause and offer our prayer for this particular moment, not the particular Barnert good and welfare moment, but certainly one for we who are part of this global Jewish community as we celebrate the 4 hostages who were rescued yesterday from Gaza. There's a blessing we offer in our morning liturgy every morning, thanking God who frees the captives. And it's the blessing that we have referred to also as we have offered that other blessing on Friday nights, praying that we will be captives of hope. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who frees the captive. We've spent this year navigating anti-Semitic graffiti and language and attacks in schools and in our communities, bouncing between mourning and dancing, shedding tears of sorrow and celebration, and all of this is part of our good and welfare. On top of this, here in our particular Barnert community, we've been there, and now we are here, fundraising and building and visioning and adapting and growing. How do we account for all of this as we count all of this in an annual meeting such as this? In the Torah portion that we read yesterday, the first portion in this book that we have just begun last week, Bamidbar, or Numbers in English, the Israelites are also taking account of where they are as they continue their journey. This being this accounting by taking account. And the Hebrew used to describe this is beautiful. In the opening words of the book of Numbers, we read, "On the first day of the second month in the second year following the exodus from the land of Egypt," and you could imagine in the second phase of the whole project, it's like this sort of locating them in time and space. God speaks to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai and says, "Take a census, count the people." And the Hebrew is se'u et rosh, of the whole Israelite community. The word here for community is edah, by the clans of the ancestral houses. How do we count according to the Torah? Se'u et rosh, lift up each head. They lift up the head of each person, looking into their eyes, seeing their stories, their strengths, their highs and their lows, their sadnesses and their celebrations, and what each person brought to the whole of which they are a part, the community, or the edah in Hebrew. On this word, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch teaches the whole community of Israel. Edah is related to this word yachad, which means to unite for the sake of a common purpose. Edah then denotes people who have joined together for the sake of a common calling, and who are united by the solidarity of that calling, a community. Individuals become a community not by means of an order that comes to them from without, but by means of a shared concern that calls to them from within their own hearts. So we account for our year as we look into each other's eyes, honoring all that's there, our celebration, our loss, our worry, our pride, and we remind each other that we are a people who are joined by a common calling, and that it is this shared care that brings us together around our mission to live a loving, accessible Judaism. And so it is in that spirit that I offer this good and welfare report this year. I'm going to begin with the deaths, the losses in our community, and we'll pause for a moment of remembrance. This is our list, not of everybody who has lost a person close to them, but of the Barnert Temple members or children of Barnert Temple members who I added this year to our list. This year we mourn the deaths of these beloved members of our Barnert community: Rena Demby, Hugh Dugan, Tom Garson, Eugene Lipkowitz, Barbara Miller, Arthur Nalvin, Rami Nalvin, Richard Naschel, Bob Nooner, Eric Mannheimer, and Matthew Mascari. And we pause in memory and in love for these of our dear ones. Zichronam livracha, may their memories continue to become blessings as we honor their legacies, as we live this Barnert Judaism. And everything else is a celebration. So we offer our welcome to these babies who were born in our community in some way. We welcome Caleb Jack Green, the grandson of Jan and Elliot Green, Maya Scheffler Granowitz, the daughter of Rabbi Eliza Scheffler and Andy Granowitz, Aiden Jack Spivak, the son of Marissa Sauer and Ariel Spivak, Jack Friedman Powers, the grandson of John and Dawn Williams, Ava Rose Himmelis, granddaughter of Pam and Jeff Himmelis, Joy Marion Kramer, daughter of Josh and Selena Kramer, Jack Woodbridge, grandson of Nan Sumner, Theodore Harvey Coulter, son of Abby and Dan Coulter, Casey Blake Bronstein, I don't know where you are, Susan, but there you are right in front of me, grandson of Susan Esserman and Barton Shack, Ella Brooke Callison, granddaughter of Linda and Ivan Schulman, and Naomi June Tatz, daughter of Kaylee and Lev Tatz. With you, we celebrate. And so many B'nai Mitzvah. I'm just going to read their list, starting actually on October 7th, which is when our Jewish year post-Chagim began our B'nai Mitzvah calendar. We celebrate the B'nai Mitzvah, the B Mitzvah, of these children at Barnert this past year. Summer Fitterman, Matthew Curlin, Jacob Revelis, Gregory Grossman, Brianna Fallow, Sloan Jaffe, Gia LaForgia, Chelsea Schoenfield, Addison Fader, Alex Hernandez, Casey Lappin, William Rosenfeld, Avery Frank, Christopher Yagan, Alex Wilner, Ryan Wilner, Serena DeLine, Harley Chudnoff, Brooke Cohen, Gavin Levine, Ben Solomon, Liam Fincy. Where are you, Kathy? Got some of those parents in the room. Sammy Pollock, Max Storens, Josh Markowitz, this past Shabbat, yesterday, Wyatt Cooperman and Hunter Rosenberg, and in the next two upcoming Shabbatot, Tessa Frank, Reese Campbell, and Edward Kirsch. We've been busy making Jewish adults here. On Tuesday night, we celebrate the confirmation of Rafaela Bravo, Julia Bryce, Hudson Campbell, Maddie Fishkin, Ethan Levy, and Audrey Solomon. So to all of our B Mitzvah celebrants and our confirmation parents, we say Mazel Tov. We also celebrated a couple of weeks ago a bunch of our graduating high school seniors who have stayed meaningfully engaged with their Jewish learning here at Barnert. We celebrated Emily Bernstein, Josh Fishkin, Ben Good, Jake Males, Hannah Nussbaum, Gabe Pincus, Eden Placer, Sophia Shack, and Eli Solomon. And we are just like the luckiest that we have all of these amazing teenagers and young people who are showing us how to do this awesome Jewish living through their teen and high school years. Some engagements and weddings to celebrate as well. And here I imagine it's possible we have missed people. And if that's the case, it's just because you didn't tell me or us, so please do, and we would love to add this to our report. The only engagement I have still listed as an engagement is to Elizabeth Levitt Resnick on the engagement of Amanda to CJ Mounier, is that right? What is it? Oh, Meunier. I think we're missing an R. Okay, cool. And a whole bunch of weddings to celebrate. We celebrated, we offer Mazel Tov to Dawn Frankel on her son David's marriage to Alex Cohen, also to Dawn on the marriage of her daughter Jessica to Timmy. What? Oh. Oh, wow. Yes, both of her children married this year. To Julie and Jeff on their son Rob's marriage to Leah or Leah? Leah, right? Leah? Leah, yeah, okay. Finkelstein to Elizabeth Levitt-Resnick on the marriage of her son Gregory, to Rachel Newman, it says Greg here, but I know you'd say Gregory, to Jane Simon on the marriage of her son Stephen, to Michelle Summer, to Nan Sumner on the marriage of her son Dan, to Lisa Dong, to Debbie and Rich, to Debbie Ungerleiter and Rich Brookler on the marriage of their daughter Adara, to Ben Patterson, and to Larry Weinstein, right? Got it? On the marriage of his daughter Hillary to Scott Hovis. So to all of you and to all of us, we say Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Steiner. Always the bitter and the sweet. A lot more sweet, for sure. So now I would like to invite Rabbi Scheffler to the podium for a prayer for Israel.
Sovereign of all the world, accept our plea on behalf of the state and people of Israel. Pour forth your blessing on the land and all who call it home. May your laws of kindness guide its people, and may the teaching of your prophets live within their hearts and ours, only to do justice, and to love goodness, and to walk humbly with your God. Awaken your spirit in the Jewish people and the whole human family. Implant within us all patience and mutual respect. Uproot from our midst hatred, violence, coercion, and exploitation. We pray for strength of body and spirit to journey to the land and to be a true friend of the land and its people, a lover of Zion. May life there become Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, brothers and sisters and siblings dwelling together. And in every corner of the earth, spread your shelter of peace over the house of Israel. Strengthen the will and stamina of Israel's soldiers. Fill with courage the hearts of those who shield the land. Let their spirits be resilient and their use of arms pure. Valiant in war, ever striving for peace. May they overcome all enemies as you guard them in the shadow of your wings. For this, and this alone we pray, make peace in the land. May all its inhabitants be blessed, and may this vision of your prophet soon be achieved. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And let us all say,
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Scheffler. So I want to invite Yael Klein, member of the Governance Committee, and Yael will be walking us through voting procedures for today. Thanks, Yael.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for your participation in these important votes that help shape our community.
Hang on, Yael. There you go. There we go. Any better? Give it a try. Right.
Every adult member in good standing is eligible to cast a vote here, and it's a maximum of 2 votes per household. If you're voting from your phone, please open up your camera app and point it at the QR codes that are going to be on the screen as well as on the table in front of you. And when you see the little yellow link, click on that and you'll access the votes. If you are voting from your tablet or computer, if you search your inbox for the email sent from Barnert on June 2nd and again on June 5th, you'll find direct links to those votes as well. And there's also paper ballots on the table in front of you. If anyone needs help, whether in person or on live control, just raise your hand and a member of the governance committee will come around and assist you.
So, should I ask for questions?
Yeah, see if anyone needs help.
Does anyone need help? Just raise your hand if you need assistance voting. I can't hear. I'm going to do that now. So,
I'll walk around.
yep. So I need a motion from the floor. Well, first of all, are there any corrections offered from the floor for the minutes? No corrections? Okay, so I also need a motion from the floor to accept the 2023 annual meeting minutes. Susan Esserman, I need a second, please. Rebecca Creston. Thank you, second. So is there any discussion? No discussion, so if you can please cast your votes. And we have, right, so Charlie says we have till about 10:15 to move through the votes. So with that, again, if you're struggling with the vote, just raise your hand and you'll have some assistance. So quickly, I want to run through our membership report. And this is, as it has been for several years, yet another bright spot for Barnert. As of Friday, June 7th, Barnert's membership stood at 520 member units, 520 families. This is up from 516 last month, 509 this time last year, and 489 in June of 2022. That's over 40. So thank you all for being a part of that. You, the rabbis, and what we're doing here, we're doing something right. I think we've been very lucky but we also have to be good, and I think we're towing our weight in that regard. So, with that, I'd like to hand things over to the Governance Committee, Charlie Troyanowski, co-chair, and GC member Kathy Courtney. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, okay. Hey, Kathy.
Good morning. Oh, sorry. Good morning. Hi. I am Kathy Courtney. I am here on behalf of the Governance Committee, as was mentioned before. Thank you so much for your votes. Again, if anyone has trouble, please just raise your hand. Our job here is to present the slate of the nominees to all of you. Before we move ahead, though, we want to acknowledge the people that have been the slate that we are putting forward. So as I introduce you, if you could please just stand up to make sure everyone knows who you are. So Craig is already standing, so that's helpful. Craig Solomon, Ellen Benson, Matt Esterson, thank you. Bob Levin.
Standing at home.
Standing at home, great, thank you. Josh Bengal, right there, thank you. Rachel Berkowitz, hi Rachel. Ken Bromfin, thank you Ken. Jen Charles, and Alan Lieber is, I don't know if I saw him. Standing on his way here.
On
Got
his
it,
way
okay,
here.
excellent. So this year.
Coming by skateboard.
Thank you. You can all be seated. Thank you. So this year, yes. This year, the Governance Committee had the responsibility of filling 3 board positions, so a treasurer role and 2 at-large spots. We also are renewing 4 members for additional terms, so our EVP, our secretary, and 2 at-large members. And we also have a vote, the 3rd vote, which will extend Craig's presidency for an additional year. These are all in alignment with the Barnert Constitution. But before we move forward, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to 2 people who are rolling off the board. The first is Hani Getter, and I believe I saw Hani. Hani, thank you. Thank you so much for your service, and the good news is I know we aren't losing your service, you're just going to be continuing in other roles like the Atrium Minion and being involved in the Mission and Vision Project and other strategic roles, so we look forward to all of your contributions as you continue to move forward, and thank you for your service. And then, as Craig mentioned, Joan Lipkowitz, thank you so much, Joan. I think I could fill the entire block of time just talking about all of the contributions Joan has made to our Barnert congregation, and we are so very grateful and so thankful that Joan will continue to be working with the Lifelong Learning Committee and be involved in many other projects, so thank you, Joan. I also want to thank Matt Esterson for his contributions as treasurer. Yes. I really look forward to his report and to seeing how we continue to move forward as a congregation in really strong financial position. And the wonderful news is that Matt will continue to serve in a role on the board. He is rolling off of treasurer, but has agreed to continue to bring his insights and all of his passion to Barnert, to the board. So thank you, Matt. And then the GC, we're also very excited then for those 2 new members that we talked about. Josh Bengal, who we are putting forward as the nominee for treasurer. He's been very involved in the finance committee, and so we're excited to have him step up and take the role of treasurer. And Rachel Berkowitz, who is going to be joining as an at-large member. Both of them have already made a lot of contributions to Barnert, and we are excited for everything that they are going to be bringing to the board. So thank you. Now I'll turn it over to Charlie to talk about the nitty-gritty and how we went through the process and the voting. Thanks, Charlie.
Hi, good morning. And so we'll start with a brief recap of the steps that the GC took in the process to arrive at the slate. So we meet with the board members, discuss where they see themselves fitting into the board. We assess open roles, identified skills and attributes needed. We create a pool of candidates using names gathered from conversations with the board, with the rabbis, with other leaders, and we also solicited names from the congregation. We got a great turnout, great result from that. That was really helpful. And so from this, we identified the people who had the needed skills and attributes. Every year I need to be helped with the microphone. So, where was I? So this year there will be 2 votes relating to the board. One will be to elect Craig for a 3rd year as president, and the other vote is on the board positions, including Ellen Benson as EVP, Bob Levin as secretary, Josh Bengal as treasurer, Rachel Berkowitz as an at-large trustee, Matt Esterson, as noted, stepping off as treasurer but staying on as an at-large trustee, Jen Charles, and Alan Lieber will be elected for new terms as at-large trustees.
Nice one, Alan.
And he's already standing. So. And lastly, Ken Bronfman's term has not expired, which is why he's not on the slate. So lastly, before we make the motions on the votes, we want to thank everybody on the governance committee. We have a great group, and this year it consisted of Lisa Dougal, Yael Klein, Kathy, Amy Ellman, Rebecca Creston, Jordan Wishnu, who served for part of the year, and then Elizabeth Levitt-Resnick, who took Jordan's spot. And then Craig Solomon and Rabbi Steiner also are on the committee as non-voting members. So I'll start with the first motion to approve Craig Solomon as president for 1-year term. Elizabeth? And then a second from Bob Mayles? Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Moving on to the next motion, to approve the slate that the governance committee presented. And Rich Edelman, and a second, Rebecca Creston, and any discussion? Okay, thanks. And as we already said, you have until 10:15 to vote. The QR codes in the paper ballots are on the tables, and raise your hand in person or on live control if you need.
Also, if you have a paper ballot that you're done with, just raise your hand and grab it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Charlie and Kathy, and to everyone else on the GC. So I'd like to call to the podium now Matt Esterson, treasurer, who will be presenting the finance report. Matt, come up here. You're a humble guy, but I just want to say nice things about you in front of everyone, just for a second. So Matt and actually Jeff Kagan have done incredible work over the last, I guess it's now almost 6 years, and due in large part to their diligence, really have turned things around here at Barnert. My work with Matt, like one of the high points of my week as president, it's kind of an interesting thing to be a high point, but for me it is my weekly meeting with Matt. Matt not only brings an amazing skill set, but judgment and temperament about really all things Barnert, and he's just a sweet guy, just a good guy. That's very high praise in my house. So anyway, Matt, thank you. Thank you. Hand it off.
So I'm doing that the wrong way.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you. That high.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll make it work. Thank you. And I'll say, Craig, it's also one of the high points of my week, which is always a nice thing to say when you get to speak about temple finances.
Yeah, right.
And it's all good news. So as you've heard, this is, I think, a few weeks left in my term, and this is the third time I'll be speaking at the annual meeting, and I think there's been nothing but good news. Continuing on the trend of membership, I think it makes these reports very, very easy to give, that growing congregation means that this job becomes a lot easier. But I was speaking with Rebecca Rund at Shabbat, and I felt like we said, 3 years in, you start to get the hang of things, you know what you're doing, and it sometimes becomes time to go. So thank you all. I got some feedback last year that these slides are too hard to read in the room. I think they're available online, and the details are out there, but I'll talk kind of my way through the main points of both the financial results for last year and the budget projections for next year, and then if you have any questions, happy to go through the details. So the membership trends post-COVID have obviously continued to grow. In particular, our school programs are at record enrollment, and so Barnert set records this year for revenue that at the moment, and the fiscal year ends June 30th, so everything is still technically a projection and still until we get the numbers in July, but we're projecting $2.9 million of revenue in fiscal year 23-24. And if you go back to kind of COVID and just before, it was kind of at that $2 million revenue mark. So the growth over the past few years has been substantial and excellent. As far as I can tell, with the records that we have, that's a Barnert record, and for 175 years of history, certainly don't take that lightly. So you can go back to that one too, because it's not just the revenue is the top line number. We're also projecting at the moment in the neighborhood of about $175,000 operating surplus. The revenue projection that I just said, 2.9 million, is ahead of budget targets by in the neighborhood of, it's not quite $300,000, but it's $200,000 plus. That's offset both by additional costs that come to service new members, but also by security costs over the past year. Obviously, we had to increase our security presence substantially after October 7th, so our total projected surplus is $175,000, which is just about what we hit last year. Last year was also a Barnert record for a surplus, again, as far as I can see in our records, and this'll, if we don't, well, we're in the neighborhood for maybe reaching that again. I don't want to tempt fate there, but all of that balance is going into our operating reserves at the end of the year. In one of our earlier meetings together, Craig, as Craig said we meet weekly, Craig brought up, kind of connected this to Joseph's dream, 7 years of fat, 7 years of lean, and making sure that when times are good, we're working to guard against future uncertainties. And just I'll get there in my presentation, but I think a lot of the Finance Committee's challenge and the discussions we've had have been balancing investing in the growth and making sure that we take care of the new members who have joined us and supporting the people that are here and doing that in a financially responsible way. And I think we've largely struck a very good balance there, that we've grown within our means, we're continuing to run operating surpluses at the same time as building our reserves. The budget for next year, so if you go to the next slide, it's proposed a break-even budget, which has been really historic practice, that we don't plan on increases in membership to make our budget numbers, and really we're planning on spending the revenue that we bring in. That includes the expanded security, increased costs for particularly the increase in our JJP population, student population, and investments in the office. I'd say one other area of costs that we're focused on that's a little bit outside this is the facility. Outside of the construction that's going on behind these walls, there's also been a ton of work that's been done by the Building and Grounds group to think about the repairs that are needed in the rest of the building. And I don't know if it's specifically called out in the rest of the presentation today, but in particular, Jeff Dougal and the Facilities Committee obtained a grant to replace the HVAC equipment on the roof. And if you look at a Google Maps or aerial shot of Barnert, the amount of equipment that's up there that heats and cools this building is staggering, and is running towards, at some point, the end of the useful life. To replace that with energy efficiency equipment, you can get government grants to help offset that, and that will save hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't want to overstate, but closer to $1 million over a 20-year term. So there's been a tremendous amount of progress there, and we're looking at other building projects that we need to evaluate as well. So the slide that I really want to get to, and I'm sorry to jump all through the rest of this, is if you can keep going towards the two more graphs. This next one. So this is the 7 years of fat, 7 years of lean projection of our reserves. And the operating reserve, I think you could think about like a savings account for Barnert, that it really represents what the surpluses that we've earned over the past 5 years now have been stocked away for the future. If you go back to 2019, this was at zero, really before heading into COVID. At the end of this year, we're projecting that at about $800,000, which is a remarkable turnaround, and I would say the first year or so of increase was due to PPP funding, and there was some other COVID assistance that was available to everybody and helped out in a tremendously uncertain time, but the rest has been due to just our core operating results, the strength of our membership, and our growing community. So with that, because I wanted to leave time for questions and not get into too much of the nitty-gritty on slides that I know are hard to see in the room, but let me first thank Barbara Starr and the office staff for their work over the past 3 years to support this. As well as the members of the Finance Committee. I know there's a bunch of you in the room today, but for their guidance and support over the past couple of years, and I know Barnert's in great hands with Josh. And I'm happy to take any questions, or if anybody wants detailed numbers. I think the next slide is the actual budget. I know. It's a 5-year trend for back from COVID through our projections this year, and then budget for next year. And I'll say, this should be available, and I don't want to spend time going item by item on the screen today. So yes. Yeah. So the question, I'll repeat it for people online, is if the $800,000 operating surplus, does that go into an endowment or a reserve? Do we get interest on it? Right now, that's invested in money market funds that are throwing off in the neighborhood of 5% interest. Barnert does have a separate endowment that has been given, I think, legacy gifts that were received for the purpose of investing a corpus and earning on it, and those are invested in mutual fund, basically low-cost mutual funds. And there is a specific policy that you can only, if something's, I'm not going to get overly technical, but if somebody gives you money for an endowment that you hold forever, you can use a percentage of that each year. And so our investment policy is to take 5% of that total into our operating budget. It's
Up to 5%.
Up to 5%. Thank you. Craig helped write this a number of years ago. So the operating reserve stays in liquid funds that we are able to use if we need, rather than investing and kind of accepting a market loss on that, which I'd say is standard practice and also good governance. But we are earning interest on it, and that is part of the revenue increase this year was due to increases in rates. And we know that's offset by inflation, but the we are earning a return on all of the reserves that are held. Yes. Yes, so that is the small print here, which is, I don't want to misstate the number, but it's projected operating revenue and expense, as I said, they match, of $3,066,000. And the exact, I mean, it's a forecast still for this current fiscal year that we're in, is $2,966,000 of revenue for this year. Any other questions?
So Matt, where can people find this online?
I will work with Rebecca to get you an.
No, it's a, yeah.
Yeah, the page that people were taken to that had the agenda and the links for voting, a copy of this is actually there in a PDF form so that you can view it more easily.
So there's a PDF on the page with the links for voting.
So for the people online also, the page that you were taken to in your emails that has the agenda and the voting links, a copy of this presentation is also there in a PDF form so that you can view it and look at all the detailed numbers.
Thank you. I heard the feedback last year and then kept the slides the same. So sorry about that, Rebecca, but I think it's good sometimes to have apples to apples comparisons of the way things look. So anything else?
All right, Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
So, again, Matt, thank you for your service here. And oh, okay, how about this? Yeah, this is not my. Thanks, Matt. So thanks again to Matt Esterson. And now we have our lifelong learning report from Joan Lipkowitz, trustee and chair of lifelong learning.
And sadly, not as tall as Matt.
There we go, I think. Yeah. How about?
However, I do share something in common with Matt, and that is that I, too, have an upbeat report this morning. I'm really delighted to share the good news about our lifelong learning programs serving our demographic from 15 months through adult learners. Lifelong learning continues to grow and evolve under the leadership of Nan Sumner. Just raise your hand so everybody knows who you are. Jennifer Katz-Goldstein. And Rabbi Eliza Scheffler, who invite us to study and live our Judaism through diverse pathways. Their knowledge, teaching skills, and creativity keep our programming dynamic, fresh, and most importantly, greatly sought after. The preschool this year had 66 students, a few more than in 2022-23, and it welcomed 13 new and 2 returning young families. A larger than usual cohort of 2-year-olds necessitated the addition of a second Little Sprouts class. And this, of course, bodes well for our future. 5 new staff members were hired to achieve appropriate class size and teacher-pupil ratios from the Little Sprouts through our eldest group, the Rising Stars. Baby and Me sessions also drew increased participation, and they continued to generate enrollment for the Little Sprouts, the 18 months to 2-year-old group, and to connect young Jewish families with one another and to Barnert. The BTPPA facilitated young family social activities, and funded purchases and events, in addition to giving a donation to the Preschool Professional Development Fund. Preschool innovations this year included the extension of morning and afternoon hours to accommodate working parents, the addition of hot lunch offerings, creation of a gross motor room for indoor play, and the design of a new camp system, a new camp program for incoming Fantastics. Nonetheless, the traditional events were celebrated, including the art show, the Eric Carle interaction, Earth Week, and weekly Shabbat celebrations, promoted and showcased student learning while offering joyful opportunities for sharing. Several specials, including weekly stories and games with Nan, music with Jennifer Katz-Goldstein, story time with Rabbi Steiner, and Jewish yoga and special holiday programs with Rabbi Scheffler. In the classrooms and on our outdoor campus, students' curiosity, learning were constantly cultivated, and supportive family engagement made a priority. Looking to next year, NAN is focused on maintaining strong enrollments, creating new enrichment offerings in response to really what has been an increase in parental demand for a slightly longer school day, and the scheduling of monthly discussions with parents on topics of current concern, and increased professional development for our preschool teachers. And I just want to mention this one last item here. This summer, Nan and 4 of her lead teachers will attend the Boulder Journey School, joining Jewish early educators from across the U.S. to explore innovative curricula and teaching methods. And they will return here and turnkey what they have learned. So many thanks to Nan and her preschool staff for the caring, happy learning environment they create. They treat their students as if they were their own children. And it's that positive initial school start that generates lifelong temple friendships and starts our children on their Jewish journey. Now, thank you, Nan. Now, fast forward on our Jewish journey to the Jewish Journey Project, our K-12 religious school program, which has experienced, as Craig and Matt have mentioned, extraordinary growth. By January 2024, JJP enrollment reached an all-time high. This was January, and we've gotten new students since. In January, we were at 303 students. These 303 students participated in 44 different courses taught by 20 part-time teachers, plus Jennifer, program director, Samantha Rosenblum, our JJP family coordinator and tag advisor, and our 2 rabbis. Enrollments in grades K1 and 2 have been remarkably strong due to the collaboration of Nan and Jennifer and their powers of persuasion in convincing young parents that it is good to keep the relationship with Barnert. So we had 52 students this year in the kindergarten, first and second grade classes, which is really another milestone for us. "32 new families joined Barnert to enable their children to participate in JJP's flexible, accessible scheduling and novel variety of Judaics courses. Among the most popular Judaics courses, does anyone want to take a guess? We have the wonderful instructor of Baking with Bubby here this morning. And also Jewish yoga came in as the second most popular. The largest grade cohorts, ranging from 38 to 49 students, are in grades 3 to 6. The double B mitzvah calendar is here for a while to stay. 2023-24 JJP innovations included the introduction of tefillah, or prayer, at the start of each K-6 session, the addition of off-site experiences for our 8th and 9th graders. A larger than ever number of students participated in the TAG program, a voluntary enrichment option in which students demonstrate evidence of their living Jewishly beyond the walls of Barnert. We remain so grateful to the Williams family for sponsoring this program that honors Kathy's memory and provides scholarship support for students' Jewish camp and travel study in Israel. And last but not least, this year Jennifer instituted some training for 26 madrachim, students in grades 8 to 12 who serve as teen helpers for the JJP program. Looking ahead, Jennifer is focused on honing and really benchmarking our multitudinous curricula, on enhancing community connections by restoring the JJP Parent and Me Days, and on activities leading to the establishment of a JJPPA. And also, as part of next year's program, she is working on the implementation of 2 new policies, one on student attendance and the other on cell phone management, that were and these policies were developed in conjunction with a wonderful JJP task force this year, comprised of Jody Fader, Andrew Kramer, and Jody Salzberg, who worked with Jennifer and me. So kudos to Jennifer and Samantha for ensuring that the myriad moving parts of JJP are well-oiled, that students and teachers feel valued, and that communications keep families well-informed. And to our JJP teachers, we are so grateful for the love and energy you put into working with our youngsters. As for many of you, it's your second job of the day. So thank you. And Jennifer, we are so proud of you and the program, which has really brought a lot of good fortune to Barnert. Thank you. Now, moving along. Moving along to adult learning. This year, Rabbi Scheffler again planned and coordinated in-person and virtual offerings dealing with a variety of Jewish thought and practice. Adult learners had as their instructors many of Barnert's most beloved teachers. Highlights are many, but I want to mention a few here. I imagine you're getting weary at this point. A summer 2023 education series for preschool children and parents with an organization called Story Starters. This is a program that helps families talk about race through children's books and conversation guides. This initiative was organized by Lisa Dougal and Lauren Herman, with Rabbi Scheffler providing Jewish resources for their conversations. A wonderful Another option was a wonderful Kabbalah class taught by Rabbi Emerita Elise Frischman, along with Lisa Dougal, Becky Dougal, and Peter Schaffer. Rabbi Scheffler taught a series on the scroll of Esther, and Rabbi Steiner, not to be outdone by Rabbi Scheffler, taught a series on the Chelm stories. We also had a wonderful Shabbat residence with Rabbi Safin, who presented the Devar Torah on Friday evening and conducted Torah study on Saturday morning. There's a current series, which ends tomorrow, sadly, on civil discourse, accountable leaders, and productive disagreement that's been taught by our rabbinic intern, Hannah Ellenson. To me, sort of the jewel in the crown this year was a timely and well-attended virtual lecture series on Zionism, Israel, and the Arab-Israel conflict. This drew 117 registrants. This was with Dr. Dave Mendelson. And one of the wonderful results of this was that following Dave's course, the very Susan Esserman Shack and Barton Shack facilitated a Reform Zionist reading group. So adult learning is alive and well here, folks. The varied options offer something for everyone, and I hope that each and every one of you will put an adult ed course on your to-do list for next year. So thank you, Rabbi Scheffler, and all our adult educators for a splendid year of learning and connection. And that happily concludes my portion.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you so much, Joan. It's a lot of good news. It's Dayenu, I guess. And Joan, again, thank you for your leadership, and Nan and Jen, your remarkable work teaching our youngest students. So we're going to move now back to the Governance Committee and the nomination results of the votes. And Kathy Courtney, please.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you, everyone, for voting. And all of the people on live stream who pre-voted, we had tremendous results. A lot of people made sure that their voice was heard in this process. So we thank all of you for taking the time. The first motion was to approve the minutes from the 2023 meeting. That has passed with 71 yay votes and 3 abstentions. The next was the motion to extend Craig Solomon's term for 1 more year of president, and I realized I didn't say thank you, Craig, for the 2 years you have done so far and for agreeing to do another year, so thank you. So I am thrilled to say that that has passed with a vote of 84 yays, so thank you. And finally, the vote on the rest of the slate, the motion to approve it has passed with a vote of 84 yays and no abstentions. So thank you all for agreeing to serve, and we look forward to all the impact and everything that you will bring to our congregation over your next 2-year term. Thank you. And before I get booted, there is one more trustee-related announcement that we wanted to make. So Elizabeth, if you could come up and help share this news that we're very excited about.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. You're tired. All right. Well, I'm certain that everyone who knows this person would agree that the honor of becoming named as lifetime trustee is very fitting. I mean, what do you say about a leader who's approached every single volunteer responsibility over multiple years and over varied governance models as incredibly effectively, diplomatically, comprehensively, and with as much gravitas as she? Always with just one intention: to enhance the life of Barnert Temple. There's truly no one I can think of who fits that description more aptly than our own Joan Lipkowitz. So the good news is that though her list of past accomplishments is almost infinite, there's a lot more she's promised to do to continue to ensure a robust success moving forward. Joan, you're not getting away that fast. Anyway, just a couple of highlights. In addition to her extremely successful career, by the way, as a multi-talented educational professional, she served multiple times on our board and on our past executive board. She's been if not the, key lay leader for, as you heard, preschool, religious school, JJP, and just all of lifelong learning, and through every leader of education since this inception. So just a key example, several years ago, she spearheaded a transformational change of our educational model. She worked closely with Rabbi Steiner and a small group of parents to determine what we need and want in educational leaders. She came to focus groups and read feedback and turned all of that into documents that they could all study and adapt into job descriptions. She brought in 2 parent leaders and helped elevate them to leadership for both search committees. She characteristically supported, very quietly, yet with assurance and determination, demonstrating her classic integrity and sophistication, making sure that both the process and the outcome of our educational leader searches yielded the very best results. In corporate lingo, by the way, we would say she's been our CLLO. She's been our Chief Lifelong Learning Officer. So one final highlight in her role has been as Executive Vice President to more than one president, including yours truly. And her acumen for all things grammatic through strategic has been extremely valued by everybody with whom she's worked. I know for sure that I could not have done what I did and what we did without her. So on a personal final note, I know, Joan, that your parents, Edith and Edward Tannenbaum, were founding members of their temple, Westchester Reform. I know they're here in spirit, and I can only guess the pride they feel. Talk about Lador Vador. And your kids, Elise and Etienne, I know they're incredibly proud. They too are here, not only in spirit, but on live control. Hi, Elise. Hi, Etienne. And they're coming very shortly to celebrate, just so you all know. And last but not least, I know that very soon it would have been your 50th anniversary to your and our beloved Eugene. No question. He too is here quelling. So, no words can ever express our gratitude. Congratulations, Joan, on this august honor, and here's to many more opportunities to leverage your strengths and your good heart. With love from your Barnert community. Let's go. All right.
Yeah. Oh, we got- There we go.
Thank
All right. Congratulations. A couple of years ago, Joan, thank you. Thank you for everything. A couple of years ago, I was chair of the membership committee, and my first email went out to the congregation. I had 15 people proofread it. It went out, and not 10 minutes after it was sent, Joan pointed out that instead of dear friends, I had written dear fiends. Only Joan. And did it with good humor, and I was laughing, and but truly diligent, always, always. Oy. So, moving from strength to strength, I want to bring up Lauren Krause and Alan Lieber to talk about the Building Together campaign and our construction project. Alan and Lauren. Oh, there you go.
Mazel tov, Joan. Amazing. Before we get started, I hope you guys don't mind. I just want to say one thing in regards to Joan and Nan and Jennifer and Rabbi Steiner and Rabbi Scheffler. I have 3 kids. All of us have kids that have gone through the preschool and JJP, and I have a little one now who's just going to be moving up from the big shots into the Fantastics next year, and I have 2 JJP kids. I think what's really important that you guys all we all know this, but there's something different about Barnert kids, right? They just, they stand out in a crowd. They're always the ones you want to have over at your house for a play date or a sleepover. I had one last night, and I'm always like, she's a breeze. It's just like having, one of your own. You guys really, 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 and Joan, as a part of the lifelong learning program, help us raise incredible citizens of the world, people, and you make them really proud to live Jewishly. So thank you. You guys do a great job. And it makes Alan and my job easier to raise money for these people, right? So there you go. I'm going to start with a quick campaign update on where we are, and then I'm going to turn it over to Alan to talk about the construction. So I'm going to start with a bunch of the numbers and then just kind of work through the process of everything. So currently, as it stands, we have raised just under $5.8 million. If you remember, 150 years ago, our goal was $4 million. So we have far exceeded it and changed it and pivoted it, and that's to all of our amazing supporters and generous donors. So thank you so much. The participation rate is just around 45% of Barnert members who've contributed to the capital campaign. That's a great number in terms of capital campaigns. It's actually a very, very large percentage of participation. But in terms for us and for Barnert, we'd really like for that to increase. We want everybody to feel like a part of this. We want everybody to have ownership of the project, and whatever that means for you, however, whatever capacity you have, we want you to participate. So let's work on getting that number up. So just about 222 pledges. I counted that one by one last night, so I might be off by 1 or 2, but it was pretty good. We have 18 pledges over $100,000, which is incredible, and we have 70 around 18,000 or more. So really strong commitments from our donors. So thank you so much. And just to kind of put that into perspective, the 18,000 and higher is around 15% of our congregation. So 15% of our members have given at a really substantial number. So thank you so much. We currently have a mini campaign going on. It's a match program. We have a very generous donor who also shares our sentiment about participation. And so this particular match program is $35,000 match if we have 120 new time donors, first-time donors. And that's at any level. So $18, $36, $136,000, whatever you want to do, 120 first-time donors gets us that match. And we currently are at around 44 as of the other day. So again, just wanting to spread the word, tell your friends, encourage everybody to give. You know, I'm looking around this room, I see a lot of people who've already given, so thank you. But you know a lot of people, right? So start talking to your friends, share the sentiment and the message with them. And then also we have some mini campaigns that people might not be aware of that even if you have already donated or if you yet to donate, you could contribute to these mini campaigns. And they are the following. One in memory of Deborah Freelander, one in honor of Janet Montroy, one in memory of Jim Judd, one in memory of Martin Haubenstock, and one in honor of Sarah Loesch. In terms of perspective, we began working on this in 2019. Just to give you just kind of a hands-on example of that, I was pregnant with my third daughter when we started. She is going to be 4 next month. So there you have it. We've been doing this for a while, so it's been a long time. And what's important for us to share with you is that while we may not have done everything seamlessly or perfectly, what we really can stand behind is that we've done all of our work with intention. So there has been intent and thought behind all the things we have done, whether agreed with or not agreed with. There is intent and purpose behind all of that. So for instance, when we started in 2019, we were really excited to start raising money. 2020 came, COVID, fun for everybody, and we pivoted, right? We started to take that time to really just make sure all of our members were okay. Everybody who had signed up to be a part of the fundraising switched gears and just called everybody and made sure everybody was all right. And then we took that time as a team to really focus on what our congregants want. We did a ton of focus groups and feasibility studies and really took the time to figure out what our main priorities would be in terms of the project. And that's all coming to fruition now. So everything you see around you, all the projects, all of the different things happening, that's because we listened to you, right? So that was a real intentional time frame for that. And then come 2021 through 23, we were raising funds for the project. And now, again, a really intentional focus on participation. We want every single person who walks into this space to feel like they were a part of it. That is important. It's important for me, it is important for Alan, it is important for our executive team and our steering committee. So again, spread the word. We're just so grateful to all of you. We wouldn't be here without you, and I'm really excited to start seeing things come to fruition. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Alan.
Thank you. Thanks. Am I on? You guys can hear me. So I want to just, hold on one second. So first, congratulations. Great job.
Thanks.
So we've had all these great presentations today, and I think I get the pleasure of talking about the project, but we're only able to do that because the community's been so generous, both with their funds, but also with their time to make the project happen. And so it takes a village, it takes a community. And I will just say that up front, I'll say some thank yous as we get through it. So, we've hit a milestone. The construction firm handed the social hall back to us. They will start in the sanctuary on Wednesday. Well, it's Wednesday. Yeah, they're gonna start
demolition on Wednesday. Like the real stuff happens Wednesday. Yeah, no. So we've obviously got new carpeting, new painting. The any one bathroom, I was actually thinking I was going to point to it and everybody's going to see that it's under construction, but it's actually right through there. And that'll be done in a couple of weeks. There's new lighting coming in, there's new doors coming in, and so this is a work in progress in the room you're sitting. It's not actually completed like many construction projects, but this is phase one. We had originally thought we were going to do 2 phases, do this phase, and then do everything else. Because of the delays that we had from Franklin Lakes, it's going to be 3 phases, but we'll have the social hall and the sanctuary back for the high holidays and basically have the building back. So just as a reminder, this is what the sanctuary looks like today. Can you flip to the next slide? This is just the phasing of the project. So here we are, and this will be turned over to us within about July 15th, we'll have this bathroom back. And then, go ahead. So the next phase is the biggest part, and this is really the biggest part of the construction project, is 2A is the sanctuary. 2B is, this is actually the Barty Lounge and the new butterfly windows. So this is really a big part of the project coming. We're going to be upgrading our current bathrooms, so those will be done by the high holidays. And where's Jen? This is the control room. So, so the control room will also be complete. And this will all be back to us for the high holidays. If you can flip to the next slide. So what are we doing? This is, I know people have seen this, but just as a reminder, we're lowering the BEMA so that it is actually handicapped accessible. We're creating a new, more inviting way to come into the sanctuary. We are, the pews are going. So anybody been uncomfortable sitting in the pews? So those are all being replaced. New wall coverings to lighten things up. There is a shade coming to deal with the light. And then, do you want to talk about the doors? So this is not what's happening to the doors. But if I ask the rabbi to just talk a little bit about what we're doing with doors.
Sorry, I know I've just put my microphone on in like the most unattractive alien way, but you're just going to have to deal with that. These are weird new things. No, it's just, hold on a second. I just can't. Okay. We're all getting used to new things. We can all do hard things. Sure. So, did you not want me to stand in front of you? That was weird.
It's okay.
So, the doors, there are 3 doors that we are designing together. That's what you want me to talk about, right? Yeah, or just that? Sorry. No. Well, 3 historical, and there's 4 total sets of doors. Is that what you want me to say briefly? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So working, I'm going to work actually from the outside in. I think it will make more sense. So there's outer doors, and then there's doors that sort of lead into the lobby, and then there's doors that lead into the sanctuary. So those first 3 doors. We've been working with a team with Rachel Berkowitz and Alice Hefner and Laura Levy and Lauren Cantor and Nissan. Did I forget anybody, Rachel? I don't think so. And Laura Levy is a Temple member who you probably know. She's married to Larry Silverman, and she's a tremendous artist in her own right. And she's been working with us to create the idea that is represented here in this picture is that there's like laser cut, a way to laser cut it designed in wood. And in the first 3 doors, that laser cut will be sandwiched in between glass. So you'll be sort of walking in and seeing these beautiful like wooden laser cut doors. And each of those 3 doors is being designed with one of the 3 main locations of Barnert Temple as an inspiration. So the outermost door has images that are symbolic from our first location in Patterson. The second set of doors coming in similarly in our second location in Patterson. And if you know the buildings, they will be familiar to you. And if you don't, they will just be beautiful doors. One has the round big stars that were on the turret in the first Patterson location. And then the second one, the sort of the building shape from the second location in Patterson. They're really beautiful. And then the third set of doors, which will be coming into the sanctuary here, those are particularly the ones that will be named in. The outermost ones will be named in memory of Martin Haubenstock, and the doors coming into the sanctuary in memory of Jim Judd. And those will be, they will have a representation that is a little bit different, but you'll recognize from being at Barnert, of the Ledorva Dornagid Godlecha lettering on the current arc doors, right? So that as we walk into our spaces, we sort of get to walk the history and the way that we've lived Barnert here, and obviously the sort of beauty of that encapsulated in the end of those three doors with that a reminder of our generational connection with each other. The doors, which is really what Alan asked me to talk about, on the on the arc.
You're doing fine.
Thank you. That's really where we've done a lot of brainstorming together as a group, being guided by what will actually be above it in part, which is the Ner Tamid, that eternal light. That's just a sort of stand-in in that particular rendering. That Ner Tamid, as a reminder, will be one of Deborah Freelander's pieces. It's kind of orangey yellow in color. And Deborah's work was really about our connection and our responsibility both to each other and to our physical world. And so the doors designed there, which will actually have multiple wooded laser cutout layers, it's being inspired by the idea of like it has trees on it, sort of. The Torahs on the inside say Pardes, which Rabbi Frischman designed with Reina Lynn, with Ron and Florette's daughter, who designed those Torah covers. And Pardes means garden, like paradise, like Garden of Eden. Sort of another way of also thinking about the way we engage with Torah study. Obviously, the doors lead into the ark. We call our Torahs Eitz Chaim, right, the tree of life. And this idea that this sort of imaging of a path in a forest leads us it's a windy path, it's really beautiful, it's symbolic and also literal for those of you who like abstract and concrete. And what's very cool, if you'll give me one more moment here, you can't really see it in these pictures, but the way this is an earlier rendering, the way the doors are going to be designed is, unlike now where they fold out, and then we get like half of a picture when we open the ark, these doors will slide open. So the doors are being designed both as a whole together, and also that will really exist separately when they are open together. There will be, on our new ark, there is not here, although there was in Patterson, you can see it out there, a text, a Hebrew text that frames our ark, and it will be in Hebrew on the top of the doors, and then when you open the doors, it will be in English inside. So there's lots of ways that we're really trying to thoughtfully create both the art and the language to frame sort of that moment that will really ultimately also hope will draw us into Torah and up to that Ner Tamid. Okay.
Thank you.
I could tell you what we're thinking about, but we haven't decided on them, so I'm afraid to overspeak and then if we change our direction, but I'm happy to tell you offline at the moment where we are.
We don't want that written into the minutes. If you go to the next picture. So one of the things we've talked a lot about, and I think we've all realized over the last couple of years, is how important the AV component of temple life is, and particularly projecting out from things that happen in here. So we have had the opportunity, or in the midst of, making a major investment in our AV capabilities that will actually put us in really good stead for the next, I'd say, decade. I hope it's the decade. But it's really critical, including the ability to put screens up on behind the bema, I guess. How would you describe that? Well, back wall. Anyway, and I think we've imagined a lot of different ways those can be used. I think the reality is we'll see how it gets used once we get them up. But the great news is we're getting a projection system. We'll be able to put 2 screens up. They'll actually and they will go away. They'll disappear, so it won't, like, if we're not using them, it won't look like you're in a movie theater. So anyway, so that's another great piece of this part of the project. Jen, if you could. So phase 3, which will now, so all of that, all of what I've talked about is scheduled to be done for the high holidays. We will be in these 2 rooms for the high holidays. As we've learned this time, if there could be something that falls behind schedule, but this should all, we will be in this space for the high holidays. So phase 3 actually now takes place post-holidays and into the beginning of 2025, and that will include the library, finishing up the lobby, and that should get us done. The patio is going to be replaced this summer. Craig, did I miss something? Oh, okay. And so that's where we're anticipating now a 3-phase project. We should be wrapping up in the beginning of 25. I suspect there'll be some small things that we still have to get wrapped up in the end. But that's where we're on the construction project. I want to, before I take questions, before Lauren and I take questions, I do want to say just a couple of things. One is, I think for those of you who've seen the rabbis, was here 2 weeks ago, well, a week and a half ago for the Friday night service in Devar. I think the rabbi did a really great job of talking about how our memories and our feelings about the sanctuary. And, you know, I've had my head down trying to figure all this out, and I kind of lifted my head up, and you did a great job of just sort of making me recognize like how important the space is to all of us and all the things that happen in these spaces. So if you haven't seen that, I think, Rebecca, we've got it up on the, do we have it up on the website? Okay. So if you're interested, Rebecca will tell you where the link is. We could put it, we'll put it in one of the weekly e-blasts, but it really, I think more important than anything else, it just made me take a step back to think about everything that's happened in these spaces for me and for the community. And then I did want to say, I just want to do a lot of thank yous. Like as much as the campaign's been run by volunteers, so has a construction project, which is hard on people. I mean, so I want to just say thank you. I want to start with Lauren Krause and the design team. I'm sorry, Lauren Cantor and the design team. You guys' names are so close. Usually I'm pretty good about that. I want to, yeah. So Lauren Cantor, and there's a number of people who've been on the design team here who really figured out what we needed to do and continue to set priorities as we move along. Ralph Klein's done a great job leading the construction team and keeping things squared away and giving us confidence in what we're doing. Jen Sauer and Bob Levin, who've done an amazing job with the AV work, both in terms of the scope of the project and also the scramble to make sure we could do everything this weekend. So Jennifer, thank you. Jeff Dougal for coordinating all of this work with the existing facilities work, and that's not a minor issue because there's a lot of facilities things going on. Joe Magid, if you haven't met Joe, he's been our operations coordinator, and Barbara, who's not here, and Rebecca Rund have been great on the staff side. And I want to thank Craig for great support as president. Every so often I call him up and go, I don't know how big a problem this is, but let me tell you what's going on. And he's just been provided great leadership in those situations. And I want to thank the rabbi who has been careful about staying the rabbi, but been great at keeping us on track on about thinking things through and making sure we're doing this in a way that will wind up with really a great spiritual area for all of us, and also thinking through the operating issues that come. So thank you. So let me stop, and Lauren and I will answer questions. So I bored everybody. Yes. It is. Yeah, that's not been included in the project. I don't know. Yeah, sorry. The question was whether or not we've included parking lot repair, parking lot maintenance in the project, and we haven't. I don't know. Jeff, do you want to? Does anybody want? Yeah.
Hold on, Ellen. People can't hear you.
Okay, so the parking lot is a expenditure we make from buildings and grounds with the reserve building funds. That is that. We just got a big reserve study of all the things we have to do to maintain this building in tip-top shape. You can imagine that that's a big ticket item to repave and do all that. So that is on the list, but that's a 3 to 5 year plan to make sure we have the money. But yeah, it does need to be done, and that was confirmed with the study. Thank you.
Yes.
Is there going to be a new youth lounge? Yes, there's going to be a new youth lounge. It's been designed. It's essentially going to be a. Okay.
No, this is where the coat closet was. The Barty Lounge is actually staying where it was, it's just changing shape a little bit. And the Barty Lounge is the project that was named in memory of Deborah. So it's actually right here in the picture. It's part of 2B, the work that will be finalized after the holidays, although they've actually knocked down all the walls in there already. So, yeah.
Bob?
Well.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we are, so the entrance is staying where it is. We're going to do something, we're going to.
Sorry, the question is, where is the new entrance going to be?
Thank you.
For online people.
Yeah. It's hard to get used to. All right, so we are putting in new gables on the roof, so it'll be clearer that it is actually the entrance. We're going to do some things with lighting to make it, again, just make it feel more as a welcoming entrance. There will be, do you want to put the glass wall up? Yeah, I didn't do those slides. So one of the things we're going to have over here, and this is where the Barty Lounge is, we're breaking through there and basically putting in a double set of windows. We're flipping the roof up. So there are doors. There are going to be doors to get out on the east patio, but the main entrance is not moving.
It's actually, it's only part of where the Barty Lounge is. Sorry, Alan, just for expectation setting. It's more where the old rabbi's office is, like straight ahead there, and then a little bit of the Barty Lounge. So just so that we're, sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Other questions? Okay. Well, thanks everybody again for pulling together and making this happen, and thanks for bearing with us as we're in the middle of a construction project.
All right, thanks, Ellen. All right. So Lauren, Alan, thank you, and Rabbi Steiner, thank you as well. The last, I guess, strategic initiative we have to discuss today is our executive director search and an update. So I would ask Ken Bronfman and Josh Bengal to come up and talk about where we are in that search. Ken and Josh are leading the search piece of this process, and we'll talk with you about that right now.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay. All right, so in the summer of 2023, Craig reached out to a few of us, to Ken, to me, and to the inimitable Barbara Sachs, and asked us to explore the possibility of hiring an executive director for Barnert Temple. The purpose, and I actually really like what Lauren said about the approach that she and her team with Alan took to raising the capital to make this amazing building project happen. I think the word used was intentional or intentionality. That was really the approach that I think Craig wanted Ken and me and Barbara to take, and it is one that we have sort of kept in mind throughout the process. So, the mission of this search was to determine what the needs of the congregation were, to see whether there would be sufficient value brought on by a new hire of an executive director, and to, of course, determine whether it would be financially feasible to do this. And we approached, sort of with that intentionality, we approached the project by designing a process that we hoped would account for the needs of as many congregation members as possible. We sought a wide swath of input from a number of different sort of elements of the congregation. We conducted a large number of interviews with lay leadership, staff, clergy, to determine exactly what we were looking for in a potential executive director hire, and of course to determine whether a hire would be appropriate. The results of that information gathering process were perhaps not unsurprising. As we have grown over the last few years, we determined that we have essentially passed the point at which it really is a necessity rather than a desire. There could be tremendous value in having sort of well, first of all, a benefit to our amazing and somewhat overworked, maybe very overworked staff. So just adding someone to that process of sort of running the temple would be really tremendously valuable from a staff perspective. It would take a fair amount of the burden off of the lay leadership, who really are being asked to do more than would be appropriate in any other context for lay leaders. A situation where we're finding that lay leaders are throwing in the towel much more than we'd want them to. And we determined that with an executive director on board, we could really grow. We could, along with our congregational numbers, we could grow in terms of program offerings and the value that we bring to our congregants. And so with that, I will turn it over to Ken, who's going to describe the process from that point, after which we determined, obviously with input from the congregation and then a decision from the board, that hiring an executive director was the right way to go.
Exactly. So thank you, Josh. So yeah, once the needs analysis was completed, we presented this to the board on several occasions, and after really thorough discussion, we decided to go ahead and activate the search. From all the data we had gathered during this process and even more questions to the congregations, we put together a priority list of the needs for the synagogue and what the executive director needed to do, and then put together a very detailed job specification that we would ultimately distribute both internally, and thank you for your help distributing it, and then externally on various job sites. From there, we received a couple of dozen resumes, mostly from folks in this area. And they were actually very, very good resumes, much higher than I expected. From there, we brought together a group of congregants to do the first round of interviews. We started with 7 or 8 people we thought were really good and we wanted to interview. We brought them in for interviews. I shouldn't say we brought them in, we put them on Zoom for interviews, much easier. And from there, this group culled this down to just a small handful of congregants. We then did a second round of interviews with another 4 group of people, and I'll mention who they are in just a minute, and really confirmed that these were the folks that we thought were qualified and should move on to the final round of interviews, which involves Rabbi Steiner, of course, and Craig. And that's where we are right now. We have some candidates we really feel good about, and the process continues on. If all goes well, and one of these candidates is accepted as the finalist, we hope to have someone in the seat by the end of this summer. So I would say it's been a good, robust process. We've brought along a lot of people into the process to make sure we were looking at it from every possible perspective. We really wanted a broad range here, and I think we got it. And we're very fortunate that there are some very qualified people who stepped up and said they wanted to come. It's a unique position. It's a great position. Many of the synagogues in this area aren't doing well, and so a lot of people look at this and say, boy, what a prime opportunity to be an executive director of a wonderful and growing synagogue. So with that, we're hoping that we'll proceed with this process. And I just want to take 1 minute to thank all the people who were involved. I probably missed some, so I apologize for that. But first of all, to thank Craig for his extraordinary leadership and vision in this process to really drive it with us. And of course, Rabbi Steiner, and then other folks in the congregation, including Barbara Sachs, Dan Newberger, Elizabeth Resnick, Rachel Schultes, Matt Esterson, Stacy Rappaport, Rebecca Crispin, Connie Getter, Ellen Benson, Jeff Dougal, Steve Gutkin, Mitch Hausman, Julie Kagan, Bob Levin, Jen Charles, Joan Lipwitz, and a number of others, and of course the help of many of the staff who were very valuable in this process. So thank you everyone for your guidance and wisdom. We are still proceeding, but we're towards the tail end of the process, I hope, and hopefully at the next time we all get together in this meeting, we'll have someone here as an executive director who will be really here to support our congregation and help us grow even stronger. Thank you.
Could you? Are you okay to take a couple of questions?
We can take all the questions, yes.
Okay. Any questions from the floor?
Wow.
All right.
We really covered it. Okay.
So Josh, Ken, thank you so much. We really wanted to have a robust process from the very beginning. We didn't want to walk backwards into this. And so I feel very comfortable with our due diligence. I feel really good about the process, and hopefully that will yield the result that we are hoping to achieve. So with that, I was actually budgeting for running about 10 or 15 minutes over, so we're 2 minutes over. So rather than just kind of moving into lunch, which we'll do, I felt remiss without giving you an opportunity to just ask a few questions of me. And really whatever is on your mind, we have a few minutes. I'm happy to take on whatever you're interested in. So please, the floor is yours. Not all at once. Pam.
It's not really a question, it's thank you and kudos, and this has been so wonderful this morning, and I can recall at some point between 2007 and 2010.
Your mic, and everybody else will hear your mic.
Rather than having to repeat it all.
Thank you.
Start again.
So I just want, it's not a question, it's really just a few comments about how wonderful and inspirational and amazing this morning has been. I'm reminded of a time at some point between 2007 and 2010, at which point I was pretty involved here. We had a group come together to put together a logo and a tagline, and it's what
we have now, and the tagline for our temple, which was brand new and exciting at the time, said, "Opening doors, individuals, community, the world." And when you were speaking about the doors to the temple, I don't know if that tagline is staying, but it just made me think about that time and how everything we are doing, literally and figuratively, is really opening doors, and it's just really heartwarming. So thank you, everybody, for all the hard work and effort and love that has been going into Barnert Temple.
Thanks. For those of you who may not know, Pam Himlis is a past president. Any other questions? All right, let's eat. Motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, can I have a motion? Pardon me? Oh, right, I'm so sorry. My fault, my miss here, yes. The rabbi wants to do a, guitar number.
Oh, it's not a guitar.
Closing blessing, I'm sorry.
I mean, I feel like I'm usually the one who says awkward things, but I actually also want to make a Rabbi Shaffer, why don't you join me? We'll do a Shechianu. We can all sing together. But that Friday night, a week and a half ago that Alan referenced, we had these little cards out at the Oneg. It was our last Shabbat in the, thank you. It was our last Shabbat in the sanctuary. And at the Oneg, we invited people to write memories or feelings or whatever connections to our sanctuary, or hopes or wishes or blessings for our new space. And we are actually keeping these, and we'll bring them physically with us in some meaningful way, as of yet to be determined. Somebody said to me, maybe you, Felicia, at that Friday night, that it was like a homework assignment, right? It was like a big ask, but it is a big moment of transition, right? So you have these on your tables, and really we'll collect them after. It's a beautiful way to sort of help to move with us, to carry our all of it with us from space to space. Right? Okay, good. So we're going to close with Shehechianu, and this is a blessing for new beginnings. We usually close our annual meetings with that, and we thank God for giving us life and for sustaining us and for bringing us to this moment. And I don't know, should we like Barnert it and stand in a circle and stuff like we used to? What do you think? Yeah. Everybody up. Make a big circle, you know.
Is there dancing involved?
Yes, you are going to lead the dancing. You're funny. It's all right. I can't be in a circle, but it's okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. My guitar's not working with me right now. Amen. Amen again. Amen. Now you can adjourn your meeting.
Okay, so I do need a motion to adjourn. Cheryl Thaler, second. Ellen Benson, all in favor? All right, let's eat. let's take about 10 minutes, get our food, and then we're going to do the awards, the President's Awards presentation, okay? All right. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. I know we're having so much fun connecting with each other. I just want us to kind of slowly come back for the awards. Thank you. So let me give you another minute to fill your plates, fill your glasses. So the people we'll be honoring over the next few minutes all have deep ties to and love for our community. That's just a blanket statement about everyone who will be coming up today. These ties, this love, these are all expressed in various ways, with the common thread being our recipients' dedication, leadership, and multifaceted generosity. Recipients have given Barnert enormous amounts of time and effort, with many having done so for decades and a couple for generations. All have gone above and beyond, and Barnert is better for it. And they make me proud to be a part of this community. So I'm going to begin with a handful of individual awards. I know some of the following people are not able to be here with us today, but if you are here, would the following people please come up? Jeff Dougal, Joe Valenti, Alex Gack, Amy Lynn, and Marnie Newberger. All right. Here we go. So earlier today, Matt talked about Jeff. Talked a bit about Jeff Dougal's contribution over this last year. So Jeff is a longtime Barnert member and volunteer who works largely in the background, doing what often amounts to thankless work, much of it centering on the HVAC and other Barnert systems. An engineer by training and profession, Jeff has worked to maintain our systems and is often on site to respond to calls for more heat or more cooling or the many other issues that come with maintaining a large and, dare I say, aging building. So if this wasn't enough, this last year, Jeff stewarded a project to replace key components of our HVAC system at a greatly reduced cost to Barnert through a PSE&G program. Jeff can fill you in on the details. Matt has already given you some of them, but this work will save Barnert hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital costs over the next decade at least. As president, for this alone, I feel that Jeff deserves a statue. But this award is the best I can do, an expression of our deepest gratitude for your many years of service to Barnert. Jeff Dougal, here you go. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you. So, Joe Valenti, this award is in recognition of Joe's stepping up this year on Buildings and Grounds, on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, at a time of real transition for this committee, as well as for his many years of service to Barnert. Joe is both a leader and a team player, always bringing a really positive attitude and always working with Barnert's best interests at heart. I always have the sense when I see Joe here that he is just really happy to be here. As I can say about everyone here, I'm just really proud to be a fellow member with you, Joe. Here we go. Thank you, Joe. So, as I'm fielding text messages from my son. He's, you got it? All right. Tell him I'm tied up. So, Alex Gack. So, over the last couple of years, the Men's Club has made a concerted effort to engage younger men in the congregation and to pass the torch to a new generation of members and leaders. At a critical moment in the Men's Club history, Alex stepped up to become president. I know how deeply grateful the Men's Club membership is for volunteering your time, Alex, and your talent in this way. And I share their gratitude for leading an auxiliary that for years has been a key to Barnert's success and just one of the several centers of Temple life. So Alex, thank you so much for stepping up. Here you go. Thank you. Amy Lynn. Amy. So, for those of you who may not know, Amy leads the social action arm of our Social Justice Committee. Amy's work is where the rubber meets the road in terms of providing much-needed service and support to organizations such as OASIS, which is an organization that provides services and resources to women and children living in poverty, food collections for CUMAC, which is a Patterson-based organization fighting hunger and its root causes, or providing freshly made meatloaves to St. Paul Men's Shelter, also in Patterson. Anyone here make a meatloaf for, raise your hands. All right, more meatloaves, but thank you. So Amy facilitates our being able to bring our desire to repair the world. She gives us the ability to actually get our hands in there and do the work. And so Amy is there, hands-on, building and sustaining connections with these and other community organizations. If you're concerned about our neighbors who are struggling to find housing, food, and other basic necessities for themselves or their children, talk to Amy Lynn. Amy will help you help them. So, Amy, thank you for giving us an opportunity to help our neighbors and to make the world a better place. Thank you.
My honor.
Thank you. Thank you. So, last individual recipient is Marnie Newberger, who is not here just now. She is cruising in Alaska. Lucky Marnie, that's one of my favorite places. Lucky Marnie and Dan. So Marnie has been involved with social action, now social justice, at Barnert for many years. So I was incredibly grateful when she agreed to chair social action when I began my term as president 2 years ago. So in those 2 years, Marnie reorganized the committee, creating 2 subcommittees, social action, chaired by Amy Lynn, which focuses on exactly that, social action, as I just described, and advocacy, which is chaired by Lisa Dougal. And that provides, and the advocacy arm provides educational programs and advocacy on issues such as anti-Semitism and reproductive and voting rights. So just as importantly, as Marnie moves off the committee, she has fulfilled one of the top priorities for any committee chair, finding a successor. And that can often be a point of friction in volunteer organizations. It certainly has been at certain moments at Barnert. But what is wonderful here, particularly wonderful, is that Marnie has found not one, but 2 successors. That would be Emily Zickerman and Sarah Doctor. To whom I am very grateful. But what is more than that, what is really key here is that this is not only a responsible, orderly change in leadership, it's also a generational shift on arguably Barnert's flagship committee. this is a way that we can express important aspects of our desire to live Jewish lives, to live Jewishly. So I thank Marnie not only for her years of work, but also for her commitment to a healthy and vibrant future for social justice work here at Barnert. So I will get this to Marnie, but let's give her Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm now going to turn to the Building Together Campaign and Steering Committee. And I want to acknowledge the following people. If you're here, please come up. If you're watching at home, stay seated. That would be co-chairs Lisa Silversheen, Gail White, Andrew Charles, Lauren Krause, Alan Lieber, Marion Filan, Stacy Rappaport, Arnold Ryder, Sherry Ryder, Elizabeth Resnick, Sephora Schwartz, Peter Von Halley, and Felice Yeshayan. So, what does a steering committee actually do? Why are we thanking these people, and why are they even a committee? So let me just explain a little bit about their work. So without this group, the Building Together campaign never gets off the ground. Their generosity of time, talent, and philanthropic giving made the project possible. They led by example, making many personal appeals to others in the community, developing fundraising goals and strategies, and worked over several years to realize a vision to make Barnert a more beautiful, welcoming, and accessible place for us to come together as a community. What a legacy you will all leave, and what a gift you've given to the future of Barnert. And thank you. I will give you I have a box filled with I will give them to you separately. But thank you, guys, and thank you at home. All right, hang on. And finally, so actually, I just want to take a small detour here. Alan had earlier mentioned Ralph Klein and Lauren Cantor working behind the scenes, chairs of the construction and design committees, respectively. And their work is detailed and arduous and out of sight. So I know Ralph is here. I don't think Lauren Cantor is here, but I just want to take a moment to acknowledge their key contributions. And when this is done, I'm looking forward to handing them a little glass plaque. So thank you, guys. So on to mission and vision. So Sue Klein, Lisa Summers, Rebecca Creston, and Hani Getter, please come up. Yeah. So Lisa had mentioned that she might not be able to make it, and clearly she hasn't. Lisa, if you are listening, let me just say a little bit about the process. So almost 2 years ago, I called Sue Klein to see if she might be interested in helping to update materials for new and prospective members. So actually, this is more than 2 years ago. Not long after that, Lisa Summers joined in, and over several cups of coffee, a discussion about communications morphed into a conversation about who we are as a congregation. Like, if we're going to be communicating to people, what exactly is it that we want to communicate about ourselves? How do we talk about what we value and what we care about? So while we never quite got to updating those materials, With the help of trustee Honey Getter and past president Rebecca Creston, and with the blessing and contributions of Rabbi Steiner, Barnert took yet another step into its future with a rewriting of Barnert's mission and vision statements. This group, with the help of, and I'm sure I'm going to miss people here, but this group, with the help of Noah Fincy, Mike Schulteis, and Janet Fink, and others, sought insight and input from all corners of the congregation to create a document, this, that speaks deeply and succinctly to Barnert's values and aspirations. And I think our collective hope would be that this is one other pull, a reminder to pull for our best, always. As members of this community, as members of the Jewish community, and as citizens of the world. So I thank you all for this important and meaningful work and look forward to continuing this work in bringing the mission and vision statement to just making it the common currency of our congregation. So I'll hold this for Lisa. Hani, thank you. Rebecca, thank you. And Sue Klein, where it all began. Here we go. Thank you, Sue. And that concludes the award ceremony for today. But thank you all, and continue. Duh.
Yeah, because if they happen, I don't think they'll work.